But we'll head into picks and bans now for the game 2 here. Kanga are on their last lifeline here. They can't afford to lose any more games. They'll be going home in this set. So
possibly the final game for them.
Possibly.
Unless they can win this one, bring it to a game 3, and then have a chance to go to those grand finals up against Legacy. Winner of this, it will play against Legacy. In the grand finals, though, Legacy have that 1-game advantage because they came from the winners bracket. So they only need to win 2 games to win the whole thing, and whoever else comes in needs to win 3. So.
Yeah, so that huge advantage for them going into the finals. So the Morrigan gets banned away here by Kanga. Direwolves end up banning the Kronos. Khepri, no surprises. Morrigan, Khepri, I expect to be banned pretty much
all the time.
Unless against Kanga or Direwolves, they pull out some crazy other powerful combo.
Yeah.
I expect Direwolves to never be able to play the Morrigan and Khepri in the rest of this LAN, unless there's forced another respect ban. These are 2 respect bans already.
Yeah.
If they can force a 3rd, then maybe they get to play them again. But which one do you allow to be open if they do force a 3rd respect ban? Because I still don't want to play against Khepri or the Morrigan from Direwolves.
I don't think it really matters, right? Because you can ban those 2 and they can still play guys that they're comfortable on.
Oh, of course. They have drafts for everything.
Yeah,
so.
As we were saying yesterday, his guard pool is deeper than the ocean, right? So it's insane the mechanics that he can pull off with just the warrior guards in jungle, with the assassins. He could play almost any assassin, even Arachne. Obviously not in the meta, obviously not a good god anymore, but
feels bad.
She's if we were to see an Arachne, Ro would be able to pull it off.
Oh yeah, of course. What I wouldn't mind seeing is an Ao Kuang.
Yes, that would be exciting.
Well. Now that we've seen Nuwa, I want to see the Ao Kuang. There's 2 gods. We've seen the Kronos as well. There's the 3 gods really that got the most significant changes in the mid-season patch. We've got a Ganesh first pick from Kanga. So Direwolves allow the Ganesh through for pretty much the first time I think we've seen this.
Does that mean they're not worried about it? So if they go for that front line, if they go for the dive kind of frontline composition, they're not worried about Ganesha silence. Obviously, they can't pick something like a
obviously they'll have a comp to draft around it, right? They've been banning it all weekend. Maybe they just didn't want to show their hand against possibly Legacy later on. They're going to let Legacy take it and then hit them with some crazy way to shut down Ganesh, right?
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do that, having that silence and that kind of thing. See, Erlingshen Kamazot's first 2 picks for Direwolves. I think we've already seen how strong these gods are in the hands of Direwolves. So it's going to be a scary proposition for Kanga to, unless they can get a decent draft to kind of shut down this early pressure on that side of the map, they could have exactly what was done to them, what they were doing last game, done to them in this game. So need to be cautious, but I expect them to possibly look for, they're going to pick up a Soul for Swifty and Osiris. I was going to say Osiris still available, so they'll pick up the Osiris. Should be able to, talking about any god that can kind of deal with pressure from multiple targets, Osiris in the early game is certainly one of those. He generally puts the pressure on himself. We saw Kiki, we've seen Shank even. They took a lot of damage early as Osiris, but didn't really die that often. Kiki got focused out a couple of times, but Osiris is still such a strong early god that you have to throw nearly everything into him to even get a kill, even in the early stages. And it takes kind of being caught out of position for him to really fall down. So good job there from Kanga. They've got the Soul, they've got the Ganesh, they've got the Osiris. So they'll be looking for a jungler, possibly, unless Osiris is going there. So
what did Direwolves pick here? Support, right? Because they've always left the carries for the last 2 picks, every single time.
Well, they're going to expect Kanga to focus out the supports in the next banning phase, so it makes sense that they pick up a Geb, similar to Khepri, able to keep one of his carries alive a little bit longer.
Yeah.
We'll see what Kanga decide to do with their bans here. Again, I'm expecting Toth to be taken away. Do they respect ban Nuwa now? Because Nuwa was doing a lot of work, or do they focus on the Ram? Because Ram was doing a lot of work. So who do you try to ban out? It's harder to ban out Ochita, but it's equally as difficult to ban out Mingyu. So
I don't think you can ban out carries at all at the moment because the viable guard pool of carries at the moment in the meta is just so high. Mid lane you can play pretty much anything, bar like an Aphrodite. Don't do that. and then...
Afra's a support, what are you talking about?
She's a mage, dude. She's totally a mage. And then for 80 carries, we even saw Skadi and Chiron come out yesterday. You got Ho Yi, Ram, even Cupid could come out. So there's not
we haven't seen any Cupid so far. They do end up respect banning the Nuwa. So Toth Nuwa taken off the board. Nemesis Hu Yi from Direwolves. I expect them to pick Ram here.
Yeah, Ram's still open.
And they do exactly that. So Mingy will take Ram. They take that. The reason why I expected them to pick the Ram was Hui immediately banned. Pick up your Hunter, so they can't take probably the strongest option available at the moment is probably the Rama. They pick that up for themselves. They ban out the Nemesis. Interesting ban. That says to me maybe they're looking for another a tankier kind of mid lane build again, where Nemesis is able to shred through any protections that you build, able to deal a lot of damage without lock people down. So interesting to see what they go with for their mid lane pick, or in their final pick. We're on Kanga here. They've got their last 2 picks to make.
Jungle, possibly solo, as long as Osiris is still that flex. And then what else? They need a Hunter or a mid laner, because we've seen Soul in the ADC lane yesterday.
We did, yes. And they played the Kronos mid in that game, I believe.
Yeah.
So I expect Soul to go to Swifty. I think they can't afford to not take a physical Hunter here against a Rama.
Yeah.
You need someone... No one can box Rama in the late game, right?
Yeah.
But you need someone dealing out just as much damage, and maybe you get those lucky crits onto him.
Yeah.
See Bellona here. So it looks like...
That could also flex jungle, but...
Osiris, Bellona, one of those two will be jungle, one of them will be solo. They go for that double frontline presence on that side of the map, and then they pick up the Kernanos.
Yeah.
One way to shut down Rama's stim, turn him into a pig.
Sure.
Can't throw basic attacks.
Silence him.
Yeah. So...
He can still juke, but it's a lot harder because you're slower.
You're slower, but you're not dealing damage, and that's the thing. Rama late game is, how do you shut down a Rama doing damage in late game?
At the same time...
You either have a disarm in Bellona, or you have the Wild Hunt from Kernanos to be able to shut down that Rama damage.
Very clever.
And the Ra pickup here from Direwolves, we saw them banned it a couple of times yesterday, banned against them as well when Toth Ra kind of combinations were banned out. So a cheater on Ra, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes for the Warlock Sash again. Ra, not a particularly safe god, has the Geb to kind of get him out of trouble, but I kind of expect him to go into that style of build yet again and just get to a point where he can't really be killed without a lot of focus.
That focus can come from Bellona, from Osiris, both jumping on him. One's got a stun, the other one's got anti-heal, and then a slow into a stun with that Judgment Tether from Osiris, and then Bellona with the chase. So much damage coming out from the front line there. And it's difficult for Ra to stay alive. Sure, you can build the health, but you got the Geb shield. You
have the Geb shield. On top of that, you have the juke potential on Ra. While he's not a particularly safe god, the increase to his passive, where you get more movement speed now, I think you get up to 15% movement speed, 5% per stack after you use an ability. And then you've got the blind slow to slow people down while they try and chase you down. So he's not particularly safe, but he still has his own peel methods, same as Nuwa. Nuwa has her own peel methods. A bit better to peel on Nuwa, as you have a stun, you're able to take yourself out of the fight for a second or two. But invisibility. Ra is still a very strong pick. There was a reason why it was banned a couple of times yesterday. Protections on that heal in team fights. Yes, there's anti-heal from Kanga, but I think they're going to be building it more as a damage-dealing utility mage, right? Like Warlock Sash into the Book of the Dead yet again, pen boots, that kind of thing. Ra will be swinging. You can get one shot by that snipe. And you mentioned it yesterday about a cheater playing gods that he can snipe objectives away with. If they end up behind, they still have to be conscious of that Ra snipe out of nowhere. Just either deleting the objective or deleting the players tanking the objective. A cheater really strong with objective control when he has that ability to snipe in there. And then you've got Rama snipes coming down as well as we head into game now. Let's have a look at the builds. He's gone into the Book of Toth.
Soul Reliquary right there.
So the Soul Reliquary start.
He's comfortable with that.
He's going for the more damage side of things. Going for the one-shot potential, I guess, on that Ra with full damage instead of the Warlock Sash that we saw him with Nuwa last game. So changing things up a little bit. Still going to that swift wing second, I guess. Kikimio takes a sickle for his trouble.
They haven't changed a thing. They're still focusing out the solo lane. Kanga taking away this blue buff. They're going to proxy the wave really quick, which is fairly easy. They both got cleave attacks, but look at this. Direwolves know exactly what's happening. Kiki knocks up 2. Ro is here for the damage. Envisionize already down to 10% HP. He's trying to heal up Ro. Taken down quite low as well. Uses that bracer to try to stay alive, and that's the AoE basic attacks coming through the cleave, and the bludgeon will pick up first blood for Kanga. Envisionize killing Ro. They tried to counter, but it didn't work.
Yeah, the bracer run doing great work for Envisionize there. Ro got his off as well, but the difference being was that the minions died after that second bludgeon.
Yeah.
So they were no longer tanking minions, and that's what was getting Envisionize so low. And Ro unfortunately falls. He won't lose too much farm, able to pick up back camps with the cheater, but still not the start that Direwolves are looking for. Good rotation to try and stop that proxy farm, but maybe they should have just gone and done some jungle buffs of Kanga instead, trying to shut them down. Almost got the kill, but bracer run doing was literally their undoing, unfortunately.
You got to take in account the protections buff from Bologna passive. She will build that up. She gets movement speed and protections based on the amount of times that she's in battle. Is it basic attacks
hit basic
landed?
attacks, and I believe it's basic attacks taken. No, it's just when you hit basic attacks these days.
And then you stack that up so quickly. So it's unexpected reduction in damage from Ro and Kiki onto the Bologna, because it looked like they focused him out, but it wasn't enough to bring him down because, I mean, they had significantly less damage.
Not to mention the double cleaves. Both teams had double cleaves, but it's not as consistent from a Camazotz, right? You have Erling Shen, whose cleave is on every second ability, as well as the dog doing damage for his passive. So you've also got Osiris and Bologna swinging away with their cleave attacks. It does a big job, and the ult from KO here, but Kiki
God.
Goodbye, Kiki Omeo, and the same thing is happening as last game, but how did Kanga go along with this?
Yeah, there's the Eagles rally coming out, and that was expected. As soon as you saw him get caught there by the Ganesha, the rotation from Envisionize, that was easy pickings onto Sporks, and Direwolves once again behind in the early game. Beautiful play coming from Kanga, and that was just so unexpected in the solo lane. Level 5 so early for KO, and he absolutely demolished Kikyomiyo, soloed him out, and on Osiris against one of his familiar gods. I mean, KO's known for his Erlang Shen. He was practicing combos. First thing he gets here, he goes into a jungle practice on Erlang, practices his combos, right? So he's so familiar with this god. Up on the arguably better pick, Osiris, it's difficult for Kiki to do anything.
It's difficult for Direwolves to do a lot in this early game. Mingy still has a level advantage onto Galen though, so whilst yes they fall behind, Gev has a blink online, they have this engage comp that they can work with. I expect them to try to focus out Sporks a bit more in this game. I think it makes a bit more sense than against a Kepri. Geb early game, not fantastic, but I think Direwolves are just playing for the late game again. I mean, you've got a Ram, you've got a Ra, you've got a Geb, and then you've got two frontliners. Essentially, Camazot's able to take himself out of the fight and deal damage, as we've said many times. But rotation here, KO could be in a little bit of trouble, but his team is on its way to try and contest this speed and this blue buff for Direwolves.
All right, they are going to be able to take this blue buff away unless there's a nice Celestial Beam. No, nothing. Blink, Cataclysm onto 3 members, and a snipe through from Ochita. Not much damage early in this game. Eagles rally already on to Kiki, and the follow-up from Swifty. A double kill onto Sporks, onto Kiki as well. And Kanga just destroying once again. Direwolves jungle, Direwolves members. 5-0, 4 minutes. This is it. This is absolutely fantastic play.
A little bit off timing there between the Ra snipes and the Geb ultimate. Only able to hit KO, which isn't really the target that you're looking to shred through at this stage of the game. Osiris inherently tanky with that passive. Builds up damage mitigation against magical and physical these days. Used to just be the physical. So takes the snipe, but they're not able to burst through him then, and it actually baits Kiki Amiya to come back into the fight. Once that snipe hit, if Kiki had just backed off and gone, okay, Sporks, well, you decided to engage here, this is on you. If you die, but I'm going to go back to farming so I don't get too far behind. Tries to go in and save and follow up, sorry, on the damage that was dealt by his team, but just ends up falling in as a result, and now in a lot of trouble yet again.
Uses that turtle form, gives himself the shield and that increased movement speed back under the tower, and that's sort of the story of Kiki in the solo lane up against Kanga in every single game they've played against him. He needs to play under the tower, and then even then, yesterday we saw him get killed under tower as a Bologna, so it's rough days for Kiki in the solo lane. I'm sure it's painful for him as it is for us to watch it, but KO is having a blast. Yeah, he's enjoying himself. Obviously, he's 3 levels up now onto Kiki. 2 levels for Envision-Eyes, and I'm gonna keep saying it until they do it. Make sure they do something with it. Earlier on, they ganked Sporks and Mingyu and got a pick onto Sporks. That early rotation over the duo lane caught them off guard because they've kind of left that side of the map alone. I want to see them start kind of rotating to both sides of the map. Okay, speed and blue's not up. What can we get on the other side of the map? Ro knocked up in silence, uses that dash, but the Ra heal is there to keep him alive. He can't stay in it below half HP, and he does heal off that 3rd ability. So, Direwolves, in this early game, 6 minutes, we've seen they've attempted to try to counter what Kanga are doing, but it's never worked out, and they fall further behind. Post 15 minutes, they seem to be coming back. They know how to control that mid to late game. Yeah, and I think that's more that Kanga allow them to start dictating the pace of that game. While they have this gold lead, they're 3k ahead. They were in this position in the last game at a similar time, and KO looking to proxy farm over here with Envision-Eyes. They'll pick up this wave, and then they'll look for the blue buff yet again. I think that Direwolves just need to kind of let this go. They can throw an ability over the wall, try and steal it away, but let's not hard engage, and looks like they're maybe looking to get something onto Swifty in the mid lane, but no, they'll just go pick up their red buff. They'll sacrifice their blue. Kiki will go back to farming. I think this is a smart decision from Direwolves. Okay, they're invading again. We're not in a position to fight this time. Let's just let it go. All right. In this ADC lane, we were talking about Kunonos being able to box Mingyu with the ultimate. You turn him into a pig and he can't do anything. But it's broadcasted. You can see that ultimate coming. So Mingyu can either beads preemptively, or he can use his own ultimate while dealing damage. And sure, if he's not up in the air in time, he still sees C immune. You only take a little bit of damage. The only time where you don't want to do that is where you're too low that the ult will kill you. So yeah, unless you're ahead in terms of items, if you get your Ikaval online before the Rama, you don't really want to be boxing him at all. My thinking for this Sononos pick is to deal with their late game. Spork's in a bit of trouble here though, gets stunned out of his rollout, could fall down here. Cataclysm, ultimate from Swifty will be able to pick up the kill. 6-0 Kanga over the Direwolves, and they're still chasing. They need to back off. We've seen this overextension too often from Kanga. They go too far and they get picked off. Yeah, and Envision-Eyes gets the beads of Achita as well, and they immediately look for this gold free, but Achita, no ultimate available. Ram snipes, will they come through? They are looking for a pick onto Swifty. He's used that Disapparate to try to survive, and he will, but KO picks up a kill onto Kiki right off the side. Ro finally picks a kill onto KO. That's the first for Direwolves, and it took far too long. 8 minutes was that one. Gold Fury did not get taken during all of that. And I think that's the important thing. Gold Fury didn't get taken. They trade out solos, but KO is worth a lot more than what Kiki is at this stage. So yes, they get a 1-for-1 trade, but any trades at this point are in the favor of Direwolves, unless you can get a couple of picks and something else from it. You're still not getting this leader any further ahead. It's still only 3k, and it's still not at a point where this game is out of control. They haven't been able to take a Gold Fury away. Spork picks up his protection buff there. It's 4,000 experience, 3,000 gold, but we were saying this last game, and Kanga didn't follow through with it in the mid game. Yeah, it's the mid game that falls apart for Kanga. So while we're looking at it, that they're ahead, this is by far not the end of the game. Maybe you could say that if Direwolves were this far ahead, and we see that against Legacy, when Direwolves were this far ahead, we were like, okay, there's no coming back. But for Kanga, it's just that miscalculations and hesitancy in the mid to late game that it all falls apart. Yeah, they're unable to strangle Direwolves out of the game. Direwolves find a way to find farm and get back into an equal position as KO is now the target for this 2v1, but returning damage onto Ro equally. Okay, so level 9. Actually, scratch that. Sporks with a 3-man Cataclysm tries to keep himself alive, and a beautiful snipe from Ochita will deal all the damage to Swifty. And will Mingyu kill him? Yes, he will. The third snipe follows through. Second kill for Direwolves onto Mingyu, and we've seen whenever he does get a kill, he just pops off. He can destroy Galen now in that duo lane.
Kiki got a blue buff.
Oh,
I expect him to be a little bit
what?
a little bit excited about that, not gonna lie.
No.
You know that like feeling of relief, oh my god, I finally got my own buff.
Eagles rally onto 2. Ochita doesn't get hit by the bludgeon, but he does with the silence. Gift shield will keep him alive. Kunerna's ultimate will only burn through the shield and nothing else. Ochita turns around for a bit of damage. And all of that was deterred. Just a couple abilities, couple ultimates used either side. Even trade overall.
Yeah, and I believe Roy got his own speed buff there. Rowan and Vision Eyes both have speed buffs on, so they at least trade speed buffs. Not sure whether it was an invade or the other way around, but I think they managed to secure their own buff, and they get the Eagles rally out of it as well. And I mean, Direwolves didn't really expend much. It was just a Geb shield, whereas the Wild Hunt was used. You've got Eagles Rally used, KO's used his ultimate now. Fighting Kiki in that solo, and Goldfury immediately looked at by Direwolves.
Speaking of fighting Kiki, just look at the health bars. He's already Kiki's down to 30% HP. Forced to recall. He's got the sprint and a swift wing, so he doesn't need to teleport back. Whereas KO does have teleport and swift wing, so he can move around that map pretty quick.
But it's not upgraded teleport, and that's the difference. Previous days, you could just teleport to a ward and you'd be a Goldfury fight instantly. Now you have to upgrade that with 500 gold. People aren't really doing it straight away. He's now got a Thorns online. Going for a really selfish build here is KO. Not really looking for teamfight relics. Whereas you're looking at Kiki, who we know how much work he does in the late game teamfights. Not just through relics, but through playstyle as well. But he now has a Heavenly. I expect him to go into a shell. I expect Direwolves to have 2 shells. And we saw it last game with Nuwa. Not only did she have her own health shield, she had 2 shells popped on top of her whenever she got pressured. Mingyu had the same thing. And we didn't see Kanga pick up a single one as Direwolves look to engage and try and steal away this ball game.
Cataclysm will stop the Portal Demon from being taken, but still damage onto it. And it is leashed. It's going to heal back up. 2 ultimates from Direwolves and 4 from Kanga, but no kills either way. 12 minutes. I think that Portal Demon would be great in the hands of Kanga, and it's a good attempt to do it. But when you're trading 4 ultimates for 2...
I mean, they got the blink out of Geb as well, I guess, so it's helpful in some way. The issue for me is that Mingyu, if you look at the net worth on the side, he's just slowly creeping up back towards the top of the charts, and Direwolves actually get the Goldfury for free there.
What?
Kanga losing a bit of map pressure, they'll be able to get this tier 1 with KO, but free Goldfury.
You got to think about that. Kanga, too prioritized to the Portal Demon. They've got no one on the Goldfury. And Direwolves just say, okay, we're going to use 2 ultimates, we're going to stop them from Portal Demon. Quick Mingyu jump on that Goldfury. And by their luck, they had no vision of the Goldfury. Sorry, Kanga had no vision of the Goldfury.
They had ward coverage on the paths leading to the Goldfury, though.
Yeah.
So, and on the edge of the pit there, so they should have been able to spot it out, but not able to do so, or not able to respond. I think they actually all backed after that Portal Demon fight and said, oh, they won't kind of re-engage it now. They're looking for this Portal Demon again. They should actually be able to get this one. Direwolves not in a position to defend it, but they've already kind of mitigated the loss from that Portal Demon by picking up the Goldfury before that.
I don't think they're too worried about it. They wouldn't want to fight again, because I honestly believe they would have lost that. Even though they did have the Goldfury, they didn't all back to spend up that gold that they got from the Goldfury. So it would just be a ring around the rosy once again to try to stay alive. Ultimate from KO under the tower, diving. Will he get the kill? I don't think he will. Taunt not going to land. Couple tower shots onto KO, but he is safe and sound. Winning out these trades far too often.
I mean, that happens when you're 3 levels ahead, right? As well as, oh, he's not too far ahead in his build. He's got a Gladiator shield over the top of Kiki, which will be doing a lot of work for him. Looks like they're both building towards Mystical Mail now. I expect to be the item that they pick up next for both of those solo laners. But KO's extending his pressure in that lane, but we've seen it happen before where they extend that pressure into the lane,
Look how
and then
far
you
up
get rotation. Yeah, like, why not just rotate on him here? I know he's tanky, I know it'd take a lot to kill him, but put him in his place. Don't let him just kind of walk at Kiki, throwing abilities and dealing out free poke.
Yeah, here he comes. He's going to rotate over, but Direwolves have the vision and they can play passively. It's strange that you say that. Why not just rotate over? Why don't Direwolves do that? It's so...
There's no gold free on the map. We saw it happen yesterday. As soon as they took gold free, they 4-man rotated over to KO and just shut him down. Doesn't happen this time. Portal Demon was... The Portal Demon was still... The teleport was still available for all of Kanga, so waiting for that to wear off before they rotate over there possibly, or... There's not a lot of farm on the map. They expected the teams to be grouping up and looking for something, but there's no real objectives for them to take, so towers, I guess, would be the next target. But KO is just allowed to farm at Direwolves tier 2. I don't understand that.
Yeah, it's strange. And normally you'd see Direwolves at this point, 15 minutes, they're going to try to deal with that person who's so far ahead. We saw it last game, we saw it in the games yesterday. Blink, Cataclysm, and a snipe. Gonna destroy Swifty's health bar. Super low, and he does get out. So, while it's not a pick, it just forces Swifty to back, and now Direwolves can capitalize. What are they going to go for? There's actually nothing on the map. Gold Fury not up, Oracle's not even. Red buff still respawning too.
Yeah, not a whole lot. The next buff spawning are the Direwolves Speed and Blue. I don't think Kanga have the timers for them just yet though. They should be able to recognize that it's happening though. Visionary's kind of floating around, spots out Kiki in the jungle and says, hey, their buffs are spawning, let's maybe go on and try and contest those. But he needs to be careful as there's a 4-man grouping from Direwolves. Does try to steal it away with the Scourge, but just off the timing there, Direwolves managed to secure that buff for themselves. Having a look at the graphs here, it's 4,000 experience, 4,000 gold, but it hasn't changed really since the 4-minute mark, other than that spike down where Direwolves got the gold tree.
Indeed, indeed. So, with this Gold Fury respawning, we should be seeing the Ward Vision contest coming out in just a few moments. You can already see Tari Skies is rotating over. Have they started fighting in the ADC lane? No, they have not. They're just separating. Alright, so Ultimates coming back off cooldown. Sporks is the one you want to be looking at. He's got the Blink Cataclysm. 18 seconds on Blink, so it will be starting up. Gold Fury down to... already started, excuse me. Direwolves looking to try to engage, but they're grouping up. That's nice for their ultimates. That's Cataclysm coming out. 3-man snipe coming through, but KO picks up Sporks to start it off. Only one more ultimate left for Kanga as they're diving under the tower. Row extremely low, but Swifty picks up Ochita. That's the mid laner gone. Mingyu up in the skies looking for a snipe onto Envisionize. He lands 1, he lands 2. Will he land 3? No, the shield bash will keep Envisionize alive, but only for a few more seconds as Kiki picks him up under that tier 1 tower. And this is now Kanga between towers. This is great for Direwolves. Double kill for Kiki. Row now looking for a 3rd kill for them. Jumps onto Swifty and he will pick up the kill again. Kanga, it gets to this 15 to 18 minute stage and they overextend. They were between 2 towers trying to pick up kills and they got them, but they should have immediately backed off.
They potentially could wipe here if they're not careful. Kiki doing enough damage here to KO. Gets caught out though, and actually falls himself to the Mystical Mail. It's 2 Mystical Mail kills I think we've seen in the last couple of minutes. But talking about overextending, Kiki gets a bit deep there. Row actually backed off, maybe missed out on the call of no, get out of there, I'm kind of out of mana. And it's a shame because I think Direwolves actually get the Gold Fury there. If he just backs off and goes straight to Gold Fury and just zones them out, they're not really in a position to contest, but diving and trying to kill KO and trying to get that kill onto him costs his team a little bit in terms of trying to get that objective. But again, Direwolves are low-key getting themselves back into this game. The only person that's really behind, 2 people are behind at the moment are Sporks and Kiki in terms of experience. Row's even ahead now, as is Mingyu. So Kanga need to be careful. They got that good fight, they got the pick, and then they chase deeper to try and get more picks into a tier 2 when the tier 1 was still up. They start with the Gold Fury here. It's already getting burned through very quickly.
Blink Cataclysm, Gold Fury's super low. The Supernova will only hit Sporks, but that was the target because they got the Gold Fury. Swifty picks up the kill. So it's a Gold Fury and a kill already for Kanga, and they're gonna keep pushing. Now onto this tier 1 mid tower. No, they're gonna go straight past it, looking for the Portal Demon, taking away these neutral objectives away from Direwolves.
They'll start it up here, and Direwolves in a position to contest, but Kiki immediately gets turned on Dharmic Pillars as well as all the underlife used there. Cheetah throws out his ultimate, but is immediately turned on as well. Kiki and Cheetah will fall here. Ro already in a bad position, no ultimate available. He will fall as well, so 3 for nothing, and a beautiful bait there by Kanga. Let's start up the portal demon as soon as you see them come in. Pop your ults, focus down the right targets. Good target switching there. Kiki was starting to get out. Cheetah was in place. They're trying to peel for him by dealing damage. Yeah. And now Portal Demon goes their way. They can back. They can go for Fire Giant. They can try and get Direwolves in. And this is what Kanga needed to do. They're now starting to extend their lead. They're making good decisions. Sporks needs to be careful here. He is on his own. Mingyu on his way. But
he just died. He just came back whenever the Gold Fury...
He's trying to get in to contest this Fire Giant, but Mingyu could find himself in a bit of trouble.
Fire Giant is already taken low. Has it... How far is it? Okay, snipes from Ram. No, they won't secure it as Kanga pick it up and pick up an extra kill. This is Kanga. They know what they did wrong in the previous game, and they saw that they overextended between those towers on the left lane, and they said, all right, let's collect ourselves. Just go for the Gold Fury, go for the Portal Demon. They recalled, spent up the gold, and went straight for the Fire Giant. And Direwolves, they look flustered. They don't know what to do.
Yeah, they're a little bit off point at the moment. Still, again, you can't count them out. The issue here for me now is that both Heart of the Urchins are completed on both supports, but Sporks is just dead before anything can happen. They're focusing him out. He doesn't have that revive to keep himself alive or to take the focus off of himself. Only got that Geb shield, and without a lot of health online, it's actually not providing that much extra boost for himself. And the fact that he's having to use it on himself, they're unable to really engage through Kiki at the moment. Kanga are getting so much out of it by just killing the Geb, and that's the problem with Geb is fantastic late game. We saw how good he is with Legacy playing him yesterday. Forced out the respect ban in the end. Sporks taken low yet again here.
That was far too early. Mingyu was not in position. Ochita wasn't even there. They couldn't follow up on it. Just a trigger finger coming out from Sporks. He wants to engage. He wants to stop them from pushing. And while it worked, I mean, they could have got a couple of kills and removed that Fire Giant buff.
Yeah, but for the first time, as I've said, if we look at these graphs, it's now 8,500 experience, 7,500 gold. It's the first time we've seen a real climb. It was kind of plateauing there and even going towards Direwolves' favor for a little while. And maybe Direwolves just got a little bit overconfident that, hey, this is the swing. They're overextending. This is where we get them again. But Kanga, once they did it once, they took a breath while all respawning and said, okay, let's chill. Yep. Let's just keep playing the way we've been playing, get these picks when we can, and then they even had the confidence to bait at the Portal Demon and go, no, let's fight now. Like, Sporks is out of position, Kiki's out of position, Cheetah's out of position. They switch their targets during the fights, their comms are starting to get on point, and the synergy's starting to come for Kanga, where they're able to get these picks when they need to, and they're able to find the right targets in these fights.
Portal Demon respawning soon in roughly about a minute and a half, but it doesn't matter for Kanga. They've still got the Fire Giant. They need to go down this mid lane. They need to get these objectives, and Direwolves have positioned themselves to defend. So it needs to be a full engage coming from Kanga, and they can do that with the Osiris. With the Balloon, and then we see the Eagles rally coming out already, but the taunt from Kiki is already stopping them. Visionized using that bracer to try to stay alive. Mingyu is the first to be picked off for Direwolves, and that's amazing for Kanga. 2 picks already, 3 as Ro falls to Galen. And Ochita so far behind that. Phoenix, tier 2 tower will actually fall, followed by the Phoenix. Only 2 people alive for Direwolves. Wave clear online.
Yeah, not particularly healthy either, and the 5-man push from Kanga should be able to take this. Direwolves will just go back to base, heal up, and try to fend. Probably one of their tier 2s once their players start to respawn here. But Ro dove deep into the backline to try and pick up Galen, but I think it was maybe KO back there, or there was a presence from Kanga to peel for their ADC. And Ro ends up falling. The team fight kind of splits apart into 2 groups, and Kanga take the advantage of it because they have that lead. They have the Fire Giant buff. They can afford to fight split. Yeah, they can get focused down, but they have the Fire Giant buff. So they're dealing more damage. They're able to sustain longer just purely from that buff itself. And Direwolves, the fight just goes awry for them yet again. And it's now 12k gold. This is the kind of lead that even Direwolves will struggle to come back from.
Yeah, look at the objectives. There's not a single tower down for Kanga. The closest is that dual lane tower, and it's just below half HP, but nothing else. Kanga have got so much gold from all these objectives, that Phoenix, a couple of Gold Furies, and a Fire Giant.
Yeah, the only, I guess, shining light for Direwolves is if a fight does go their way and they wipe Kanga, there's a lot of gold to catch up by taking towers in the meantime while they're respawning. So the comeback potential is still there. At least it's not. It's mostly a lot of this gold is coming from the objectives that they have lost, but they're just so far down now that they're full items behind in nearly every lane, every role, and Sporks is unable to be effective. He's now 4 levels behind. He's fighting into level 19 carries, a level 20 solo lane. A Portal Demon will go to Kanga yet again. And now they're starting to strangle Direwolves out of this game. They've got these fights going their way. They've got the momentum behind them. They've got that confidence. And you can even see it in the way I spoke earlier about Gallon needing to have that confidence. He didn't get the 1v1 fight, but he also didn't get soloed at all this game. Mingyu put a lot of pressure onto him, sure, and had that early lead, but Gallon is starting to rotate into these fights, get the picks. He looks like he's building into a Bloodforge now as the last item to keep himself alive even longer in these fights.
Yeah.
It's going to be very, very rough for Direwolves.
Yeah, this is a feat that no one really expected Kanga could do, and maybe even themselves yesterday, they just saw that they keep losing around that 15-minute mark where they dive too deep, but they're like, no, collect ourselves, let's go, let's win this game. And Direwolves, it's a complete disaster for them. Kanga now onto this tier 2 tower, pushing forward. They will be able to take it. They just need one more Phoenix and they can close out the game with the help of the minions. They are streaming down that mid lane. Hardly any distance between them and that mid lane. Someone from Direwolves needs to deal with that as Kanga now lining up against this Phoenix. They pop a sprint. Eagles rally onto 2 into the back line. Ochita taken quite low already. Osiris there as well. KO almost picking up a kill. Swifty with a double kill already onto Kikyo Mio and onto Sporks. The Phoenix falls and this is going to be it. Kanga picking up game number 2 against Direwolves. Absolutely beautiful play.
Yeah, great job. They've learnt over this weekend already that, hey, if we control ourselves a little bit, we saw it happen where they lost that fight in between tier 2 and tier 1, diving too hard, but after that, they got the pick onto Kiki in the chase, and it just kind of switched from like, hold on, we can win this game if we just play it smart. And they played it smart this time around. Brilliant work from Kanga, and great to see them take a game off Direwolves here. And
yeah,
that'll do a world of good for their confidence.
Yep.
Direwolves have to be really careful here that they don't go home before even the final.
Yeah, the finals. Direwolves not in the finals.
Almost unheard of in a Smite OC in a long time anyway.
Yeah, I mean, there has not been an Oceanic tournament where Ro and Ochita have not been in the finals.
Crazy thought.
Not even Kiki. Like, Kiki's been in the finals every single time. Sure, they were on different teams, but
still was there. Like, they expect to be in the finals. They expect to win.
Yeah.
Like, they've got to do the work. And
crazy.
It's the first time we've seen Rose Camazot's